anytime. Okay. Right. So today we're going to be talking about something very, very important. Something that we have been, it's something I've been thinking about for a very long time. Right. Something that is so important, and I think people don't really talk about it. All events and people being busy has just taken over, and so people don't talk about it. So I think we need to talk about it, and I've got someone very, very special, like someone, oh my god, I don't even want to say anything, but you're going to judge for yourself, right? We've got someone called Aima Adeleye. He's our brother, he's a friend, he's a pastor in the making. And he's such an amazing guy. So let me bring Aima on, okay? Yay! Iva is
Hello.
here. Hi, Iva. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hello, you okay?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. I hope coronavirus is not disturbing you or affecting you in any way.
No, thank you.
Okay. So, you know why we're here, right? I just want you to take deep breath, breathe in and out, because I know that you've got a lot. That's it.
I'm calm now.
Yes, well done. So I know you've got a lot to actually respond to, and I hope we'll have time to cover a lot of things. So guys, if you're here, let me know. Just press the like button and let me know that you are here. Say something. Let's know that you're here, okay? And so we can say hello to you as well. That would be amazing if we can see you here. Oh, Onimole Boyega. Oh my God, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks every one of you that are here. We're just going to start because we've got a lot to talk about. So today's topic, we're talking about fatherhood fatherhood and childhood development, right? So Aima is going to be explaining to us because Aima is a father. He's got 2 beautiful boys and counting. so Aima is going to explain to us what fatherhood is and everything that has to do with fatherhood and child development. So we're going to start with different questions. So first of all, there is a quote that I have, right? That quote says, a father, that's a kind of explaining who a father is. It says, a father is a man who expects his son to be as good a man as he is meant to be. So from this, it means that a father is not just wanting to be his son to be like him, but to be the way he aspired to be, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So that's who a father is from this quote. So based on this, I want to start with my first question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So the first question is, and I'm going to start with a quote. It says, sorry guys, if you're seeing me looking down, I've got something I'm reading off. So I'm going to be back down, just like that. So it says, every dad, if he takes time out of his busy life, right, to reflect upon fatherhood, can learn ways to become an even better dad. So based on this quote, do you think fathers have time to reflect on fatherhood, right? Not business, not work, not any other thing, not sports, not football, because I know guys like football. Do you think dads actually have that time to reflect on them being fathers? That's my first question.
Okay. So before I say anything else, thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited. So thanks. And then for all who have joined or who will join, thanks for having me. I think that's a really, really good question. About reflection as a father. The fathers have the time to do that. But before we start there, Precious, is it okay if I just quickly, very, very quickly, just define who a father is so that I'm talking in. All right. Okay. So from the dictionary, a father is described as a man in relation to a child. Okay. A person, a man in relation to a child, like a relationship, so to speak. But my definition, the definition of father I like so much is what I got from the Bible. The very first time father was used was in Genesis, when it was saying, Adam was saying, a man shall leave his father and mother and shall cleave to his wife. Now that word father there, it's an original Hebrew word. It means source. It means original, a father is a person who provides life, is the source, is your origin, so to speak. And the responsibilities of the father are, varied. And I don't know if we'll be talking about responsibilities of fathers in the future.
We'll get there.
We'll cover that. But for me, a father can be defined in three main buckets. You can consider a father as a farmer, a father as a mirror, and a father as a tap. So I'll explain. A father is a farmer. A father tends, he sows seeds. He's sowing seed into the life of his wife, his spouse. He's sowing seeds into the life of his children. He's a farmer. He's always tending. He's making sure those seeds are growing. That's a father. A father is a mirror. He's the one who stands and the children can see who they want to be in him, and he empowers them like that. So a father is a mirror. Okay, a broken mirror doesn't give a true picture. That would tell you why most homes or most children are having dysfunctional relationships out there, because the picture they are looking for or looking from is broken in the first instance. So first principles is already broken to start with. So father is a mirror, a person who a child will look in and see themselves in, or see a benchmark who they want to be like or be better than. And then the father is a tap. When you open tap, you expect water to come out. A father is that person who gushes out. Anyone, if there is anything or any question that will need to be asked, or a child needs to provide or get a stir for something, he goes to the father, and the expectation is that the father has to provide, has to give, whether it's information, whether it's money, whether it's whatever, is that tap. So yeah, a father, a farmer, a mirror, and a tap.
Wow.
That's the way,
wow. That is amazing. Based on all this explanation you've given to me, we're going to be asking a lot of questions.
I know,
based on that.
I'm setting myself up. But yeah,
okay.
And then back to your question about reflection. I don't think fathers have the time to reflect. See, listen, if I'm honest here, I don't think reflection is something we do well in or well with as human beings. I don't think the human makeup is structured to be a proactive reflector. So to your question, I don't think fathers have time to, reflect. There is no time, there to reflect on fatherhood, because in the man's mind, in the father's mind, it's just about what's the next problem, or rather, what's the next obstacle, what's the next challenge. So there isn't any time, so to speak, to sort of reflect. And you may ask, is that good or bad?
Exactly. I was just going to ask you that. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because even as Christians, right, the Bible says study to show yourself approved. The Bible did not say read. So because study means you have to read and you reflect upon what you've read, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what makes you to actually know the scriptures and to be able to practice the scriptures, even with the help of the Holy Spirit. So
Absolutely.
if a father is not able to reflect on him doing well or not doing well, even at jobs, as a place of job, you have appraisers, right? So if we do all these things in every other areas of our life, how can fathers not have time to do something that will make them better dads or better fathers?
I think the thing about reflection is the fact that for any man, woman, boy, girl, whoever to reflect, they must be in a position where they're ready to accept the scrutiny that comes with their reflection. So there's this thing about men and their ego. Okay. So for me to reflect would be me stripping myself of my ego to accept my faults. And that is really, really difficult. Everyone has that ego thing. But people say, the man has got, studies have shown that, the man has got more ego than the woman. But then again, that's another talk for another day.
Yes.
But the ego in a man makes it difficult for him to strip himself down to reflect. But having said that, not to be harsh on fathers, it is difficult to do that reflection because sometimes we are too hard on ourselves.
Okay.
We are too hard on ourselves because we want the best, and then we end up not being patient with ourselves, and that spills over. So when a man is not patient with himself, he's invariably not patient with his spouse, he's invariably not patient with his children, and then it spills out. And that's what we want to manage. So we'd rather stay in the cocoon of not having to look back and trying to better ourselves than to do that. But having said that, all fathers should be able to reflect. I mean, we should be able to reflect as human beings. Like you said, even the Bible says, I think in the book of Psalms, it says in one place, teach us to number our days that we might apply our heart to wisdom. So basically, you are numbering your days. You're looking at how you have lived your life. Okay, another place says, know yourselves, check yourselves, 2 Corinthians 13:5, I think. So you need to check yourself, constantly to see if you are actually doing the do. Am I actually the father that my child will be proud of? And in that reflection, you tend to be better. And then another thing is, with reflection, we have to face the results of our reflection. So take, for example, I've reflected and I've seen that I need support. I've got to face that result. I need to be able to ask my wife. I need to be able to ask her, say, right, okay, I need support with X, Y, Z. So beyond reflection, we have to deal with the results from reflection. So it's something that we should start doing and do more of. And then it's something that, we use to, as a continuous improvement measure to better ourselves at.
Okay, can I just ask something based on this? It's quite difficult. Let's say that it's a bit difficult for dads to actually reflect because of so many things you've mentioned, the ego, the time, the everything, and we know that everyone is meant to reflect. It's something that is supposed to be natural. Self-examine yourself. Now, apart from reflection, right? What other ways can a father will be able to weigh himself or measure himself to know if he's doing okay or he's not doing okay? Just himself, not someone telling him, himself. How can he measure himself to know that he's doing okay or he needs to improve on certain area?
For that to be, I think that's a very, very good question. For that to be a measurement or a feedback, there has to be a standard that you either hit or miss. So for a father to do reflection, he has to do reflection based on what was set. So there has to be a standard that is set. Either he set the standard with his wife or his spouse, or is a standard that he set for himself by himself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So either one of those two things, reflection has to be against that, to show you if you're doing better or you're doing worse off, or what are the areas you can improve on. And I think it's very crucial because there isn't that level in most families. There isn't that level of communication with between a man and a woman to say, right, okay, sweetheart, I need help with X, Y, Z. I need to be able to improve. We as fathers, there is no, listen, I'll tell you this one. No man can become a better father without support. Absolutely. We need the support. We need the support. Now, whether we ask you for that support is another matter entirely, And then the question may come, why aren't you asking for that support? How am I supposed to know you needed support? But the man will always need that support to be better as a father. I mean,
just before you go on, let me just say something to the people watching. Guys, if you agree to what Bro Ayama is saying, let us know in the comment section that you agree or you don't agree, because we need to know, right? Guys, let us know. And if you agree, give us the like, press the like button. Let me see the like going up and down to actually make him know that you're doing the right thing. Keep talking, talking.
Has there not been any like? You should like this thing, or you think I'm like it? I'm saying the truth here. Please, anyone who is listening, I command you right now, begin to like. Begin to like.
Right, that's right.
At the end of the day, precious. We from our reflection standpoint, as a father, we sometimes become really hard on myself. I know I mentioned that point before.
Yeah.
We become really hard on ourselves. And to your question earlier, there has to be that benchmark to say, right, okay,
Yeah.
have we done well against what the goals we set out, or have we done poorly? And we should be able to take ownership as fathers, take ownership of that, thing you set up, the goals you set up, and be able to do something about it. I think the complexity of fatherhood, if you permit me to just give you these 3 points for free.
Absolutely fine. For free, fine.
The complexity of fatherhood is, I've spoken to many young dads like myself. I know the gray hair will tell you maybe, but I'm actually a young dad. I've spoken to many young dads like myself, and one thing they will tell you is they feel that they are not appreciated. Now, if they feel they're not appreciated, then there is no drive to do a reflection. Okay, that's one thing that introduces complexity. Another thing is that the role of fatherhood, it's not out there. People don't even look at it like it's important. Case in point, one Father's Day in a year and 5 Mother's Days. But that's not why we're here. I mean, I'm okay with the one Father's Day. Okay. So, please, if you're making a comment, it's not, please, just be kind. So, and then we also feel that we are not understood. Okay. So, because of what we are dealing with, so it's like a wheel in a wheel. So, inside of us, we want to be good. We want to do better. And then we want to see a vibe outside of us that tries to pluck out the good inside of us to push us to be better. But when we don't see that, we feel not appreciated, we feel misunderstood, we feel devalued. So there is no drive to want to self-evaluate and become better. But like I said, there is that support that is needed. So, encourage your spouse. They can always be better. Talk to your dad, not your dad, but your spouse, wives, talk to your husbands. They can always be better. They can always be better, and give them that support that they need.
Right. Okay. We're going to run quickly, right? Thank you so much for this first question, because you've finished talk there. You've done a lot of talking there. That's very good. Thank you so much. So, the second question is, how can fathers build good relationship with their children?
Okay.
Very simple question.
I know.
How can fathers build relationship with their children? Guys, if you're watching and you've got any questions, because we're going to have a question and answer section later, you may want to drop your question. And if it's a question that we need to answer like straight away, I'm going to put it straight to Ima as well. So if you've got any question, please just let us know. Put it down on the comment section. Thank you, Brahma. Carry on.
No worries. So how can fathers build good relationships with their children?
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to look for your trouble, Precious, I will ask you what is good relationship. But since I'm not a troublemaker, I won't ask you what is a good relationship. So how can fathers build good relationship? There are quick, sharp points that you need to think about if you're thinking about this kind of question. So number one, start early. Build the relationship early. Someone was telling a story. I think he was in his late 30s, early 40s. And then he said, my dad's just starting to be friendly. And I'm wondering, where's this man been all my life? Okay. But from the father's perspective, someone has said to him, it's not too late. Give it a try. Okay. And then he is starting to try. But from the child's perspective, he's like, wow, I'm almost 40 now. Where have you been? So how can you build good relationships? Number one, start early. Start from when they've just come out of their mother's womb. Okay?
Do you need to wait until they come out of their mother's womb? I thought you can start talking when they are in their mother's womb, that they will hear your voice.
Thank you. In fact, I take that comment back and I replace it with the comments you've just made. Start from when they're in their mother's womb so that they will be used to your voice.
Yes.
In fact, start from before they're inside their mother's womb. Call it into existence. But jokes apart though, start early. Get in there. Okay, start early. Begin to build these things early. Okay, build the relationship early. Be consistent in your approach. That's number two. Be consistent. Don't be flappy. Don't be between two extremes. One day you are really upset, the other day you are really angry. Be consistent. Number three, define the terms for the relationship.
Absolutely.
Let your child know that, right, okay, if you do this, there's consequence. If you do that, there's consequence. Define the terms. One of the things I've told my 6-year-old son, and it's a passage from the Bible, there is a time for everything, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And he remembers that. There is a time for every, and he will go on quoting, there's a time to laugh. So build that, define the terms. And then be intentional. That's number 4. Be intentional. Be intentional about your relationships. Think about it. Plan towards it. Take, for example, here in the UK, there's a lot of free time. When I say free, I use that in inverted comma, because for fathers, we don't have any free time unless our wives say it's free time. But then again, we're not talking about that. So use the time you have, be intentional about it. Go out on walks with your children. Be intentional, plan towards it, get them thinking about it. Number 5, share experiences with them. Tell them about your dad, tell them about your granddad. That builds the relationship. Number 6, seek feedback. I think you can take feedback from them. What do you think? So happened. What do you think? Just ask that. That will give you an insight into their mentality before they get into their teen years. And then in their teen years, it becomes easy to have a discussion. Okay. I think these 6 things help you to sort of build a solid relationship with a good relationship with your children.
Well done. Thank you so much for that. But in terms of building relationship with your children, right? Do you think that there are some very important values that every dad needs to instill on their children? And based on that as well, do you think that there are specific values that are meant for girl child and values that are meant for boy child that every dad needs to teach their children?
So yes to everything that you just said. That's a straightforward answer. But let's break it down. So in terms of values, if you're not passing down values, I don't know what you are passing down. If you're trying to build legacy, you're looking for the money, you're out there, not even doing 9 to 5, but you're doing 9 to 9, to get money in. If that's your concern, if that's what is, is pushing you out there, and you are not handing anything down, you need to have a rethink. So to answer your question, there has to be that values. You have to pass down values. And I was in a meeting like this, and someone asked a similar question, and my answer was, you need to teach your children, boy or girl, you need to teach them how to be good human beings. How to be a good human being, moral, someone who is, in a good moral standing. You need to teach them those values, that morality, so to speak. That's what they need to hear. That's what they need to learn. And you teach them by showing them examples. Now, breaking it down from teaching them to be good human beings, the next level then is, right, okay, are there specific things I need to plant in the head of my girl child and then plant in the head of my boy child? So, male or female, are there specific things? And I'll say yes. Because if you look at the society today, there are so many gaps, and we are trying to fill those gaps with what we, with the children we have here. When they grow up, we expect them, to fill those gaps, so to speak. So from a girl child perspective, if you have a daughter, you need to be treating her the way, you expect her husband to treat her. That's the way you need to be treating her.
You need to say that again. You need to say that again. Because
if you have a daughter,
yes,
you need to treat her the way you expect her husband to treat her. If you want her husband to be abusive and shout on her and, demean her, shout on her, do all those things. But if you want her husband to cherish her, do those things, plant those seeds. And it's very important. Do you know why? Because they grow up and they look for those things you've planted. If they check back and they cannot see in that man what you've planted in their head, they know this is not the right guy. This is not the right guy. I've listened to some coaches that say a practical thing a father can do is, when your girl child, I keep using girl child.
Yes, fine, that's fine.
Your
girl child is fine, yeah.
So, get into their teen age. One thing you can do is, take them out on dates yourself. As a father, have a father-daughter time. Take them out, pull the chair for them. get them to sit down. I know feminists will come for me, but I'm talking about father-daughter relationship. Okay, let that girl understand that you cherish her more than anything, and she will go out there with the mentality that anyone who treats me less than my father is not worthy for me to take home to him.
Now, just to say something, do you not think that, right, what you've said, I agree to what you said, but do you not think that it's raising the standard so high, and you find that you find girls that are well trained, as in they are well trained, because both their dads and their moms are always, you have to be like this, you have to be like this, and you see boys are not as ready as the girls. And when it comes to the standard, the girl is there, the boy is here, right? So do you not think that makes some girls, when it's time for them to actually settle down, they can't find anybody on their on their level?
So in other words, they settle down.
That is amazing.
Down. They need to make up. You know, the thing about it is this. So I think it's a valid point you've got there. So anyone who tells you to reduce your values so that you can accommodate someone else who is not up to scratch is not telling you the right thing. You don't reduce yourself, in terms of your values, and I'm talking strictly values here. Okay. Now, keep your standard as high as they are. Okay. Let your standards be your standards. Now, the right person will meet those standards and surpass them. Now, we should be able to create that balance where we are teaching our girl child or our female children these things, but we are also teaching our male children. We are telling them, right, okay, what you need to know is treat your wife exactly the same way I treat my wife, exactly the same way I treat your mom. Okay, so I will be telling my son, okay, look at me, look at what I'm doing. Okay, so any thing that you don't see me do, don't do. And that's the example we need to be passing across to our sons. We need to tell them, we need to show them how to treat their wives by showing the example on how we treat our own wives as fathers. I think that will go a long way. Because, sons, I know we need to move to the next question, but I'll give you a very practical example. They were asking someone who always beat up his wife, why do you beat up your wife? What is it, psychologically in counseling? What is it in your head? And his answer was simple. I thought this is the way things go because my father always beat up my mother. So I thought that's how you get women to listen, by beating them up. So that is already broken to start with. The foundation is missing. So it's a skyscraper without first floor. So you need to, we need to teach the boys and the girls these messages so that when they grow up, they're not settling down in terms of, dropping their values, but they are meeting a peer, someone who has as much values as they do.
Guys, I'm already blown away by what Brahima is saying. Well, we need to be seeing this be pumping this honestly, guys. I don't know if you're enjoying this thing.
I know I'm not able to see the video, Precious. I'm not able to see. But please, if you are watching and you are not liking this, I'm going to come after you.
Honestly, Brahima is going to come after you because he's actually saying so many things that make so much sense, right? And please press the like button. Just be pressing it like your hand should just be going like that constantly, right? So based on what Ima just said, there's a quote I'm going to say. It says that every father should remember one day his son will follow his examples, not his advice. And that's by Charles Catherine. So your son is going to follow, or your child, not just your son, your children are going to follow your examples, not your advice, right? So based on these quotes, what would you say to men who did not get good examples growing up, right? Because obviously they are going to struggle, they've not seen anything good, and it's going to affect them negatively. So what would you say to men that are watching us, or they are going to watch us, that are actually struggling because they didn't have good examples growing up?
That's a very, very good question. I learned many, many years ago from someone, a wise man, who once said, when they ask you a question that is very tough and you are thinking of the answer, one of the things you should say is, "That's a very good question," so that it gives you time to
To think.
So Precious, that's a very good question. The thing about it is this: we need to accept and own up to the fact that not everyone had good parenting. Not everyone had that dad they could look up to. There will be fathers who are struggling with being good fathers because they did not have the right first principles. Their foundations were not right to start with, and we need to accept that. Now, what would I say to those people? If they are Christians, they need to look up to the Heavenly Father, which for them becomes their perfect example. The Heavenly Father is a perfect example. Because who is a father? Like I said, a father is a source, is the origin. A father is a provider. Okay? A father provides protection. A father provides support. He provides protection for the children. He makes sure that they are well looked after. He provides support. He goes out of his way to proactively ask if there is ways the children need support. Not just the children, but he supports his wife to be the best she can be without any iota of pride in his heart towards her. A father provides care for his entire family. A father provides, someone is expecting me to say money. I won't say money, I will say time. Because time in itself is even more.
Money.
A father provides that time. He gives his substance. A father provides leadership, very important, on different levels. There's a spiritual leadership. We are expected to be the high priest of your home. There's a leadership when it comes to leading the house and the family in terms of projects and things you're supposed to do. A father is expected to provide all those. And you get all that blueprint from the Heavenly Father. So if you haven't had a father who you could look up to, you could look at your father, your Heavenly Father, you could look at God and get the blueprint to become all these things that you are supposed to be. So that's not the end of the road. Own up to the fact that you didn't have a good example. Accept it. Be intentional about pushing the right values through. Be intentional about becoming better. Look at your Heavenly Father and pick up these values, the things I've just mentioned in terms of providing for your family. And then you can become better from there. Not without support. You also need to get support from your missus, your wife, your spouse as well. So that you can both
I was just going to ask a follow-on question to say that now for fathers that haven't had these examples, you've just said something, so let me just ask it so that you continue with it. Is it okay for them to actually open up to their spouse to say, look, growing up, obviously men have this ego, we know, right? So we need to massage it. But is it okay for them to open up to their spouse to say, growing up, my dad was an alcoholic, okay? Or growing up, this happened, growing up, that happened. So that by the time they sorry, I need to do something. So by the time they as in start having kids and their wife or their spouse starts sporting this attitude, they know that, okay, this is something he told me about. We need to talk about it. Do you think men should actually open up to their spouse?
Yeah, absolutely. So now listen. Communication is on. There are three groups of men. There's a group that tell their wife everything. Okay, they tell their wife everything. I saw a fly in the kitchen today. The fly was making noise. I think it was a witch. Or from Nigeria or from wherever. And there is a group of men who tell their wife what they need to hear at a need to know basis. And then there's a third group of men who don't even tell their wife nothing because they want their wife to see them as strong. Now, in any category a man finds himself in, it's because that is the way he has positioned himself to his wife. And there will be part of the man that doesn't want what they say to be used against them in the court of law. When you're having that conversation with your wife and then you're like, right, okay, there's some things I don't want to actually disclose because those things will be used against me. But how it should be is you should be in the position that you are ready to tell your wife about everything. Now, wives, having said that, I have to balance it all, precious, because it's not just about telling them everything. It's also about them not using those things and not being judges against not the other day you'll be having an argument with the man that has told you his father was an alcoholic. You say, useless man, useless like your father was many years ago. How do you expect the man to feel after opening up to you in that manner? So wives, spouses, to balance it up, whatever the man tells you he's struggling with should not be used against him, and thrown to his face like that. It should be a case of, right, this is what you're struggling with. This is a gap we need to fill, and we're a team. We'll do it together. Anywhere you need support. Like I said, there is no great father who achieved great fatherhood without support. Okay? And we should be proactive about asking for the support. Okay? If the support is not coming as we should define what that support means. Okay? Because there will be some people who are actually listening that will be like, you're saying they should ask for support, but what is this support? Fathers, is within our remit to define what that looks like. So to your question, Precious, I think it's actually brilliant for a man to be able to open up to his wife. The Bible says Adam and Eve were naked but not ashamed. They understood, Adam understood Eve, Eve understood Adam. They were naked. There was no screen, but they were not ashamed. They were not ashamed because Eve won't use anything against Adam and vice versa. So that's the point. That's the place mothers and fathers should get to be able to work as a team.
Guys, if you're watching, please, would you like to share? We need to get as many people on board to actually hear what is coming out from Bruma Ayama's mouth. It's bomb. Like, honestly, it's a long time I heard something like this. So please share it to your WhatsApp group, your Facebook, your Instagram, however you want to share it. Share. And if you've got any question for Ayma or for myself, please put it on the comment section so that we would answer your question. As we can answer it like immediately, or we can answer it later, but put down your question on the comment section. Now to the next question, right?
Okay.
We're going to talk about jealousy, right?
Right.
Sometimes people think that men, they are not really jealous. They're only jealous when they see their wife trying to do something funny with another man or something, you know what I mean? But there's this jealousy that actually comes when a woman starts having children, right? And the woman starts spending more time with the children.
Okay.
How would you address fathers that are jealous? Not jealous of their children, no, that's not what I'm talking about. But jealous because their children are taking so much time, so they are not having enough time with their spouse. How would you say address that?
Okay, I think once again that's a good question. Okay, I think let's be real, let's be honest. As a man, as a father, okay, as a man, let's say as a man who's got a wife, you don't necessarily have to have children. If anything takes your wife's time, apart from and makes her give you less than the time you are expecting, the hairs on the back of your head will stand. It's always, because the man has that, I wouldn't say spirit of entitlement. He has that expectation, I need to be politically correct. He has that expectation that his wife has his time. This is my own, she's my own, she's my partner. So she should be ready for me whenever. If I say, how far, she says how far back, quickly. There shouldn't be. In fact, it would even interest you to know that some men get really angry when they ring their wife and their wife is on the phone call and then it says call waiting and the wife doesn't pick up and they get really upset. What's wrong with you? I should be the one on that phone, But let's move from there. We accept that men will get that jealous vibe. That's absolutely correct. And it could be, maybe from the children taking the time, or maybe from the wife's job. That's a big one as well, because if the wife is really, really busy at a place of work and doesn't have any time to spend with the man, that also raises up the jealousy, level.
Yeah.
So we need to accept that is a fact and it can happen. Now, that's the very first point. Second point from there is, if it's the kids that are doing that, if it's the kids that do. So let me tell you a story. So I think many years ago, I say many years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, one of the men I respect so much called me and said to me, I think by this time we hadn't even had, I think we hadn't even had a child yet. And he said, you will get to the stage where your children will have all your wife's attention. You need to plan for that now. Okay. Now that made a lot of sense to me. So anyone who is listening, okay, your children will have your wife's attention at some point. You need to plan for them now. You need to plan for that now.
So how do you plan for that at time? How do you
plan? The wife and the husband should come to an understanding that their children are just tenants in their home. You may not like what I'm saying, but before your children came, it was both of you. Your children will leave, it will still be both of you. Now tell me, how that doesn't fit into the definition of a tenant. Your children are tenants in your home. You are their custodians. They've been given to you by God. You nurture them up, okay? And you let them fly. Let them go. Let them find their path, so to speak. But you still will be at the back. The Bible says you shall hear a voice behind you telling you where to go. So you can be at the back giving some instructions and some, advice if and when needed. But the mentality should be, these children, okay, we are their custodians. However, they are going to pass by. They are living with us only for a set time. They're going to pass. So husband and wife should come to that understanding. And then the husband and the wife should also have an open communication. Communicate about these things. Make plans. And there should be an understanding. Okay? So there should be an understanding. Talk about everything. If the wife needs to go and attend to the child because of X, Y, Z, or there has to be an understanding. There has to be that understanding to say, I need to. And then wives also share that plan with the husband in terms of, right, Junior is crying, I need to do X, Y, Z. I'll be with you in 10 minutes. Or can we go together? Let that communication exist. If there is no communication, the man will think there is nothing to communicate, that the woman rather wants to spend time with the child than with him. And then that will bring up his defenses, and then there will be fight,
Okay,
not physical fight, but
we are going to quickly run to the next question. And the next question is about communication, right?
Okay.
Communication is a big thing, even in marriage. When I talk about it on my YouTube channel, guys, if you don't know I have a YouTube channel, or if you know and you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because you're going to be getting things like this. And I don't even want to say, if something like this every time, that means you're not going to be going for seminars, you're not going to be paying all those big money, you're getting it for free. So please subscribe to my channel, press the notification button, so that whenever I come live or whenever I have anything, you're going to get it as soon as possible. Okay? So going to the next question, communication. Like I was saying, even on my YouTube channel, even when I talk about marriage, I know that marriage is not really necessarily about love, right? It's not really love that actually keeps marriage going, or the relationship going. Communication is one thing that, if it's not there is a chance that marriage would not last, right? So let's talk about communication in terms of father and children.
Okay.
In an African setting, sorry for those of you that are not Africans, in an African setting, communication is like, father only talk when they need to pay school fees, they need to pay house rent, they need to buy something, or don't do it. If you do that again, you're going to be in trouble. They don't actually communicate. So how would you address communication between father? Because even sometimes people will say mother tongue. There's a reason they say mother tongue, is because it's the mother that needs to be talking all the time. The father is not supposed to be talking. So how would you address father tongue between father and children?
Okay. So for there to be the communication element is a derivative of two strong factors. There's a culture element, and then there is the temperament element. Now, you touched on the culture element, where those of us who are Africans, and there's that part of the culture that the father only speaks when he needs to speak, like you actually pointed out. There's that side of the culture. The father, he grew up seeing his father that way, who grew up seeing that father that way, who grew up seeing that father that way. So it's passed down as a culture. There's a second element to that, which is the temperament. The man might just not be talkative. The four core temperaments. I know we're not talking temperaments today.
We are going to talk about it at some point in the future.
The sanguine, the choleric, the melancholic,
and
then
the
phlegmatic. It might be a melancholy who doesn't, talk that much, or only gives, words of wisdom, at small points in time. So you need to understand, fathers, we need to understand that if there is lack of communication from our side, we need to understand what is causing it. Precious, that's the first step. So you understand what is the reason. Is it because this is how I've brought up? Is it a cultural element? Or is it, my person? Is this who I am? Now, the way to tackle it is defined by what is causing it. So if it's a cultural thing, and that one is easy, you need to unlearn. Just unlearn that stuff. Unlearn that stuff. If that's not who you are, but you think that's the way you should act because you saw your dad act that way, unlearn it. Unlearn it. And it's easy to unlearn. Unlearn just means stop doing it. Practically speaking, go out of your way to create new habits that will replace the old habits. That's the only way you get rid of the habits you want to get rid of. Create new habits. Unlearn the thing of just keeping quiet and not communicating if it's a cultural thing. Unlearn it. And then if it's a temperament thing, there are ways you can get better. Okay, there are ways you can aspire to be the father who proactively communicates. Once again, that will take support from the missus. It could take support from the children. It could open up yourself for further scrutiny. So I'll give you an example. A father might be, someone who doesn't really like talking. So take, for example, in Africa, if your child comes home with their end of year school result, I know many people can relate to this in the comment section. If your child, back in the day, you came back home with your end of year result, what was the first question your dad asked you or your mom asked you? What is your position?
Yes. You come
and if
first.
you say,
or what?
you come first. If you did not come first, that's trouble. If you came second, not even second, if you came 1.5, it's a problem. Okay? Now, we need to move beyond that, and we need to open ourselves up to say, all right, okay, how did everyone else do in your class? We need to begin to ask those questions. We need to come through it if it's a temperament thing. There are things we can do, practically speaking, that will get us to communicate better if it's a temperament thing that doesn't make us communicate in the first instance. You need to find your language and increase the volume of that language, because communication is a two-way street. So you need to communicate to the child the way they would hear you, because it's not just about talking. Many fathers talk and talk and talk, but the ear of the child is blocked, or the ear of the wife is blocked. There's a particular tone, there's a particular voice that needs to penetrate the ear so that child and wife can hear. So as fathers, find that voice and increase the volume to that voice. Okay.
So can I just ask, there's a question that just came now. It says for a young dad whose father wasn't present in his life, or his father didn't teach him any of life lessons. I know we've talked about this already. Maybe the person just came in now. What challenges can he face in his own abilities as a father?
The first challenge is himself, because he would always see that limitation. And for me, that's the biggest challenge, because he doesn't believe in his abilities because he has not seen his abilities in someone. Now that in itself is deep. Remember I said the father is a mirror. So because he didn't have that mirror to start with, he's not able to say, right, okay, what I'm doing, is either right or wrong. So that will always ring in his head. That is his first challenge. Okay. Doubting his own abilities. And because he doubts his abilities, he would always make mistakes. He would always be one of those who apologizes for everything, because they believe that everything they're doing is a mistake to start with. Okay. That mentality will then become even more difficult to break because it can eat into areas of his life that he never saw coming. It could affect his self-confidence at work. It could affect his self-confidence amongst his peers. So it goes, it is not just one level, it eats deeper. So what can they do? Like I said, they would need to look at Christ, look at your Heavenly Father to find the perfect example to build yourself in. I said a father is a provider. And if you look at your Heavenly Father, a father is meant to provide protection, it's meant to provide care, it's meant to provide support, it's providing time, it's providing leadership. These 5 elements are very, very important. That's what a father provides. Everything around the definition of a fatherhood is in these 5 elements. And you can learn these 5 by looking at how God relates to us as his children. Now, that in itself is his biggest challenge, and the way to break that is to go to God, to look at how God deals with us as his children and break the inferiority complex if that exists.
Thank you so much. That's a very, very good answer. I'm just going to run again very, very quickly. The next question is, what are the factors that can actually ruin father-children relationship?
For me, there are many factors, Precious. There are many, many factors. But 2 for me, and in my experience,
Just to follow up on that, and how can they repair the relationship? Yeah.
So 2 factors affect that ruin father-child relationship. For me, these 2 are the biggest. Number 1 is lack of trust. Okay, lack of trust, and number 2 is inconsistency. These 2 things ruin father-child relationships, in my opinion, more than any others. With lack of trust, it could be both ways. Okay, I don't trust my dad, or the dad doesn't trust the child. Okay, there's no trust there. And if you want to strip that down to its bare bones, why is there no trust? It could be because there's no relationship to start with. You can't trust who you don't know. And then because there's no relationship, there is no trust. Okay, and then it affects the way you deal with that child because you don't trust them. It affects the way you deal with the dad because you don't trust the dad. Now, inconsistency is another thing as well that affects, and it can ruin the relationship because if you wake up one day, you see your father is, this nice guy, and then the next day is someone else, and then the next day is someone else. It's almost like a chameleon. You leave your children confused. They don't know who to believe anymore. Is it the father they met yesterday or the one they're going to meet tomorrow? Are you defined like the British weather? You can have summer, snow, winter, everything in one day. Inconsistency. Because you are inconsistent as a father, your child is confused. There is identity crisis because your child doesn't know who you are. So inconsistency leads to identity crisis because the child needs to know who you are to be able to know how to relate with you. Time will fail me to break that down. The child needs to know who you are to be able to know how to relate with you. And how to relate with you can also depend on your temperament. So it involves a lot of things. You need to step out of that box and become consistent, become intentional, become deliberate. We need deliberate parents. We need proactive parents. We don't need reactive. We don't want people who are reactive. We want you to be proactive. We want you to be consistent. What you are saying is what you are doing. Don't confuse your children anymore. That ruins the relationship. Don't tell them, I expect you to, I used an example the other day when I was talking on one other platform. Don't tell them, don't keep malice, and then you tell them not to greet another auntie. and you tell them, if you keep malice, you are going to go to hell. But just before you got in the car, someone said hello to you. You didn't say hello back. And they're wondering what's wrong with this man. They heard that quite well. And then you are telling your wife you didn't say hello to that man because of something he did to you last week. You are bringing off confused children who will grow up in identity crisis and lose touch with the world. Their world then becomes their phone. And then they will begin to pick up vices because they are confused. I know I'm talking too much, but
no, I am clapping for you. I am giving you clapping.
But I mean, it's the truth. You bring up children who are confused, growing up in identity crisis. They become grown up and they lose touch with the world. Their best friend is their phone, and you complain they are not talking to you. How will they talk to you when they don't know who you are? They prefer to go on their phone, to go to Facebook, to live a fake life, and then they begin to find people on that Facebook or YouTube or wherever that interest them. Okay, and then you find out, oh, how did this happen in the first place? We need to bring ourselves to the place of consistency as parents. If we are not consistent in the way we deal with our children and the way we deal with the issues that crop up, okay, we are creating children who will grow up to be confused adults. They will grow up living in this identity crisis. We need to set a pattern. Let's be honest with ourselves. And then there's this, I know I will soon finish round up in a very short while. There's, a certain school of thought that say, all right, then what about, something happens with, at my place of work and I can't control it. They just made me sad. And then you take that back home. And then you are backing at your children, rah, 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 like literally backing, It's not the best. You need to learn as a father to put some things at the door. See, listen, as a father, the realities of life is that you may not have the bills to pay, money to pay the bills when they need to be paid. But the smile is on your face. The children cannot read off you that mommy and daddy are going through some financial patch, except you tell them. But then again, that's another talk for another day. Put it at the door. Don't come home with it. Okay? Don't come home with it. Keep the smile on your face. Keep the children encouraged. Be consistent, and you will have a very good relationship with your children.
I have a question based on what you've just said. Now, because if I'm wrong, maybe you would correct me. You've just said that parents or dads should try to show off a better, like have smile on their face even when things are not going all right. Try to paint a different picture to what is actually the real picture, right? I know of someone who actually had an issue in her marriage, serious issue in her marriage. I saw that, I think it was on Facebook some time ago. She got married to a pastor, right? And they ended up divorcing. One of the reasons she talked about was that she never ever saw her parents quarreling, fighting, or having anything like problem amongst them. So when she got into marriage, she started seeing something that she never saw. She couldn't cope. So how can you balance parents, in as much as they want to put smiles on their children's face, to actually be real to their children as well?
So when I was saying all that, I talked about, unless you tell them. Now, there has to be a fine balance in the sense that it has to be defined by their capacity to receive that kind of information. Okay? It has to be defined by that, capacity. Because if I tell my I don't know, 5-year-old that we don't have money, we're going to be kicked out of the house, we're going to live in the street, we're going to live under the bridge or something, because first and foremost, they don't understand the concept of money, or it could either be they will run away crying, or they will tell everyone in their school the next day. Their teacher will pull you aside and say, right, do we need to call social services? What is happening? So let's rein it in. There has to be a balance. And to your point, I agree 100%. I'm not saying we should pretend and put that thing on. I'm saying whatever is happening that will cause you to react in a certain way to your child, stop it. don't take up the temptation to react that way. As they grow on in life, you can bring them into the picture to share your experiences. Remember, I talked about sharing experiences. You share experiences with them, and that helps them. It develops them. They now begin to know what to expect, and they can build their relationships that way. There is a lot I'm cramming into that. Maybe another day I will come to talk about
You will come, or you're going to come. This is part one. Guys, should Ima come again? Let me know in the comment section. Do you want Ima to come again so that we will just trap him down and sign the check and say Ima is coming again? If you want Ima to come back next time, let me know in the comment section so I will start arranging that now that he's coming back. So I'm going to quickly go to another question, which is so important in relation to fatherhood. So the question is, how about fathers who for one reason or the other, they don't have access to their children, right? And they are trying their best to actually have access to their kids, especially in this part of the world where women are the head of the everything. Women can do so many things, right?
Can do and undo.
Can do. So what would you say to those fathers that they're actually trying to have access to their children, but this woman, for one reason, is trying everything possible not to allow him have access to his kids? And we all know from everything you said the importance of a father in the life of the children. So what would you say to those dads if they are watching?
The only thing I would say is they need to be patient with the process. They need to be patient, because if they are trying to get access now and they are being rebuffed at every point, their efforts are coming to nothing and they stop trying. Okay, 30 years down the line, the child will ask you, why did you stop trying? Okay, you need to be patient with the process. You need to keep trying to get that. And it's sad. It's sad because women do it for various reasons. I won't go into that now for lack of time. But there are various reasons. Some women will tell you, particularly in this country, I know the guy is an unhealthy influence. I don't want him anywhere near my child. But you saw it fit to have a child with him, and now he's an unhealthy influence. But for whatever reasons they do what they do, what I would tell the guy on this side: keep trying to have that relationship with your child. Keep trying to do it. If you're going down the route of, social care and all that, you can have that with, what do they call it? Monitored, where you bring the child to a center and it's all monitored. You can start small. But what I would tell you not to do not stalk them. Do not park your car up the road from where they live and put a camera because you want to see your child. You will go to prison. You'll go to jail. She will file a restraining order. You are only fanning the flame. She will file a restraining order. They can put your name on whatever offenders list that they want to. So men, fathers, you have to be wise about this thing. If your permission or your efforts are being stopped, keep trying. Start small. Ask the questions in little way. Keep trying. Talk to whoever you can talk with. You could talk to your parents, you talk to her parents, you could talk to, keep trying. Do as much as you can to get that relationship.
So someone has just asked a question, and this person said, what if both parents are not together? That's meaning they are in, let's say, different parts of the world. How are they going to bring the kids up?
Now, this is a very, very, very important question. What I would do is bring it back to first principles. My question to those parents is, what plan did they make before deciding to be at different parts in the world? The husband is working in Canada, but the wife and the children are based in Australia. So what plan did you have before that went in place? Now, whatever plan you had, make it work. Okay, that's what I would say. And I don't mean to be cynical, but the thing about it is, we need to be thinking about some of these decisions we are making. Some of these they all have long-term impact. Okay, if you are chasing the money, how long are you going to be chasing money for? Okay, we need to be honest with ourselves. For people who already find themselves in this situation, start making plans to see how you can come closer. Okay, one person needs to move. I know of a friend who, No, not she, because who moved? He moved. He was the one that had to move. He left all he was doing. He was really senior at his place of work, but couldn't stand the thought that his daughter and his son were growing up without him. So he had to do that moving. And then there's another person I know who said, right, I will move in 5 years, but between now and 5 years, I will spend every day of my summer, okay? So for 3 months, I will be here. So there are plans you can make to make sure that there is no gap left in the life of these children. That's if the man and the woman are still together. They can work towards making the plans. But if it's a single parent, but the father lives in Canada, he has a child in Australia whose life he wants to be part of, he needs to go out of his way to reach out to the woman, talk to her, see if there are days you can come in to visit, be proactive about it. I personally know of someone who went to Spain to see his daughter. You know, he went there, he was proactive about it, he challenged the process, the system, you know, and after talking for many months, okay, it was finally granted for him to go, and that yeah, so it's possible to do that, but don't give up, keep trying.
Oh, honestly, I can't continue asking you and talking and talking and talking, but I really want to. I have to stop, right? But just final question or final advice you would give to dads or fathers out there. What one thing do you think that when you were growing up you saw dads actually impacting, but now you can't see that anymore and you're worried about it?
It's easy, Precious. That one is very easy. I thought it would be a difficult question. Easy. Communicate. I saw that. I saw it. I lived it. I saw the experience. Communicate. We have to communicate and keep communicating. As dads, communicate to your children, communicate to your wife. Keep that communication line open, because if there is communication, a lot of stuff will be easier in the way we live our lives.
Wow. Honestly, thank you so much. I can tell that I told you before that Ima is a dad of two. Oh my God, you need to see those boys, amazing boys. And I can tell that daddy, I'm sorry guys, daddy has taken a long time, so I need to let Ima go. I want to say a very big thank you, and we've been able to address um we've been able to address almost all the questions that came on. So thank you so much, Brahima. Honestly,
Thank you.
I
Thank
am
you for having me.
so we're going to bring you again. So a lot of people said Ima should come back. So
Okay.
Guys, Ima has agreed that he's going to come back.
I will come back. I
Yes,
will come
Ima
back.
is
God
going to
help. So
come
help me
back.
God.
So we're going to plan another day for Ima to come. But thank you so much, guys, for watching and for spending time with us. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I don't know what you're waiting for, honestly. Please press that subscribe button and the notification bell by it. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening. Brahma,
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
See
Bye.
ya. Bye.